Hello, friends, and welcome back to Tutti Talks, the podcast where music and conversation come together. I'm your host, Aveline Schinke, and I'm joined by my friends, Bridget and Maria, along with our special guest, Dr. Olivia Kieffer. In this episode, we'll dive into Dr. Kieffer's journey from percussionist to composer and professor, and how the toy piano became such an important part of her work. We talk about the challenges of moving from student to teacher, balancing creativity with teaching, and what inspires her both inside and outside of music. It's a fun, insightful conversation, and we're excited to share it with you. Dr. Kieffer, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Yeah, so are we. First off, just want to talk a little bit about your history and your background with music, where you got your degrees from, how you got started with percussion and toy piano, and just kind of all of your background.
Well, I started out with piano lessons at age 7, and I was that terrible student that nobody wants because I hated reading, but I wanted to, I would pick up stuff by ear. So I would I would play stuff by ear, and then basically that was like me maybe wanting to be a composer or something because I would just make up my own stuff. But I would show up to lessons pretending like I had practiced, and it was just bad and terrible, and so... But then my older brother started playing the drums, drum set, and he joined percussion. And he was the coolest person in the world to me. And I would sneak downstairs and play his drum set when he wasn't home because he didn't want me to play on his drums. So then I joined percussion in 6th grade. It was either percussion or the saxophone, but I picked percussion because I had braces and I didn't want to learn the saxophone. So
fair.
Yeah, and I just loved it and it was fun and I was good at it and, And so, yeah, that's how I started in percussion. That would have been 1992 or so. And then I stayed in and I kind of there was a competition sort of between me and his name is Ryan. Don't worry, he knows this story. But he and I were always vying for first chair. And, but I had a giant crush on him. And so that was kind of what kept me in band through 7th and 8th grade was A, getting to sit next to Ryan, B, trying to be better than him on the snare drum,
That's a good motivator.
Yeah, or on the drum pad because it was just a drum pad.
Yeah.
So, yep. And then when I was in the end of 7th grade, a new person came in town. His name is Mike Ross, and he was going to be the new band director at the high school. And so there's a college in the town where I grew up, Appleton, Wisconsin. That's called Lawrence University. It's a wonderful place. And they have an arts academy for younger students. And so he started the Lawrence Arts Academy percussion ensemble when I was in 8th grade. So I joined that. And that's when I really got into stuff. So I just continued on playing and I got my undergraduate and master's degree in percussion. So that was the years 1999, 2006. And then I had a whole life. And then I went back to school in 2017 and got a master's and a doctoral degree in music composition. And so when I graduated in May of 2023 with my doctorate, I saw the job at GVSU was posted kind of in the middle of the summer, and I applied for it, and I got the job. So that's how I ended up here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I know.
How much time passed in between your percussion masters and your doctorate?
I think it was 12 years.
Gotcha.
11 years. Yeah.
What did you do in that time, mainly?
Well, I was also a professor. So I have a lot of student, professor. So for me, actually, the biggest transition was from being a professor to becoming a student again.
Yeah.
That was a huge transition. Being a student to being a professor is cheesecake compared to that. It was so much harder to go. But yeah. And because it had been that long, none of my classes transferred.
Oh.
So I had to take all the research again, a lot of the courses so I was retaking things during my master's.
Yeah.
But a lot later, whereas the first time I took it, we were going to the library and finding books. Then when I did it, in 2017 or 2018, it was mostly on the internet, so that was a big difference.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I did learn a lot just about newer ways to research.
That's
So
cool.
that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's how I came to GVSU, and I'm happy to be here. And I had been on campus before because in 2020, the New Music Ensemble commissioned me to write a piece. And I wrote a piece called Retreat of the Laurentide. And that was right before the pandemic started.
Yeah.
So everything got delayed. And I think they recorded some people's pieces, and then they did a live concert with some other people's pieces. So it was like myself and 3 of the other composers.
Mm-hmm.
And we came to GV, which was awesome. And so the concert was like maybe November 21 or something like that. And that was fun. And it was in LAT. So I was able to be here for the first time and actually meet Bill Ryan, which was great. Who was the composition teacher here at GVSU. And so that was my first connection. So it was neat. It was very neat to come back. When I saw the job, I was like, what? GVSU? I was so excited. Like so excited.
Did you just find it randomly or like by chance or through being exposed to GV and stuff like that?
Well, I was just applying for jobs like crazy.
Yeah.
Because I didn't, like, my 4th year of my doctorate, I was just working on my dissertation. So usually it's weird, but where I went, University of Miami, your doctorate is, you're supposed to get everything done in 3 years, which like some places do, but it's completely insane. It's completely insane. So I like knew from the beginning I was going to need to take a 4th year just for the dissertation part. Yeah. And I'm glad that I did because there's no, I mean, that was just really insane. And I took out like student loans to live off of so that I could just work on my dissertation.
Most degrees are 4 years, right? For doctorate?
Or more.
Like 6 years.
Or more, depending.
5, 6 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why?
Money, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they just keep doing it because like all of the faculty at Miami were probably, I know that they were complaining about it, saying like our students are having to rush.
Yeah.
But then the administration, from what I understand, kept saying, well, people are getting it done though. And it's, you know, but I mean, there's so, and maybe they don't want to spend the extra money for a 4th year of assistantship. Maybe. Yeah. I don't really know the answer to that. But I did have assistantship for 3 years while I was there. And so 4th year, I moved to Indiana because I lived with my friend Logan, who was doing his doctorate at Indiana University. And so I just lived with him in his apartment with our cats and just worked on my dissertation that whole year.
Wow.
And then I moved to Wisconsin to just be with my family and just figure out what was next because I didn't have the time or the mental energy to apply during that dissertation year to apply. Because most of the reason why I got my doctorate is because I wanted to teach college, but you need a DMA to teach full time, basically.
Gotcha.
Unless you're like, you know, a member of like the New York Phil or something, you pretty much need a doctorate.
Yeah.
So I was just applying for jobs like crazy over the summer. And those summer jobs are usually like the last minute jobs, like somebody left or something. And they're like, oh, but there were lots of jobs that were like available over the summer. So I applied to like 20. I only heard back from 2 places. One, I don't remember what it was, but it ended up being not something I wanted to do. And the other was GVSU. And the other one was actually ended up saying no. Yeah. Usually you just don't hear from anybody. And so when I got an email from Dan Grazer, Dr. Grazer, who's a saxophone teacher, asking if I, wanted to do an interview, I needed to send some more materials. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the one that I wanted.
Yeah.
So I was like so excited.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's a wonderful, it's great.
So if you had to pick, just going back a little bit, if you had to pick one moment from your youth that led you to where you are now, whether that be what brought you to percussion, you talked about that a little bit, or just, I don't know, what do you think a little section of your childhood that led you to where you are now? Or maybe teens or whatever.
Well, I decided when I was 17, the summer before my junior year of high school, that I wanted to pursue a life in music. Which is funny because we think about that, like 17, just deciding what you're going to do for your life is completely ridiculous, but that's what I chose. And I went to this, it doesn't exist anymore, but I was at this, it's called the National High School Music Institute, and it was at Northwestern University. It's like a 5-week program, so it's really great. Percussion ensemble, band, like private lessons with Northwestern faculty, just like super awesome. So it was then I was like, I love this. I really want to do this. So I guess it was just kind of that summer and also I kind of fell in love with the marimba for real. And I properly learned how to play 4 mallets. So like back then, playing 4 mallets was like a big deal. Now like 6th graders learn how to play 4 mallets, right? But back then it was like 4 mallets, like playing on that big xylophone with 4 sticks, kind of thing. Yeah. So so I did that, and then I'm a first generation college student. So I didn't know anything about applying for college or anything like that. But my band director, Mike Ross, the man I was talking about before, who started the Lawrence Percussion Ensemble, he helped me through the process. Just here's how auditions go, and he gave me free lessons before school at like 7:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, and his son Tom was like my age, and he would give me lessons sometimes too. So I just started preparing my audition material and figuring out places that I wanted to apply to. And so I guess it was the summer institute when I was just like immersed in music fully, and it was like an artistic expression too.
Yeah.
Spend more time by myself, and practicing without like the other pressures of school and whatever, So yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to comment on what you just said right now. Thank you for sharing that. So I'm part of the TRIO programs here at Grand Valley. TRIO is a federally funded program through the Department of Education, and it's meant to support first-gen students, low-income students, and students of color. And even though I'm not a first-gen student, I really related to your story about talking about just trying to prepare for like music auditions, like your senior year of high school. I felt like when I was auditioning or even talking to like my Grand Valley peers, everyone's been taking lessons for like so long and like has been preparing for like over a year for this. So it's also kind of inspirational to kind of hear you talk about that and see that, oh my gosh, you're here like making music and working with us on the collegiate level. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I feel like lots of times it feels like my peers around me are people that were very, like had this planned, had help from their parents to have this planned.
Sure.
And that feels like lots of times that's the only way you can succeed in academia.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we want to talk about like socioeconomic stuff, I could go off that, but that might be a little too for this podcast.
That would be so fun.
I will say one thing to that though, that's true. If you're a person who your parents are able to get you lessons starting in like 6th grade, and which will mean that probably, unless there's some sort of scholarship for the lessons, let's say then that means that your family is like upper middle class or something, that you have enough money for extra stuff, right? Then that is going to help a lot for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether you're first generation or not, but just certain things smoothing the way, parents saving to help you pay for college. My parents didn't. Most people actually didn't do that back then, really, to be honest. Like, I don't think most 1980 parents were thinking, I'm going to save for a college fund. Now parents think about that.
Yeah.
But back then they didn't really. So, but it's fun to like come in later, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's just cool. Yeah, it's cool to see a successful, like smart, educated person that succeeded in academia. It's just, the way you talked about how you came into it later in life and you just don't see that often. And that's cool to see.
There's more. There's more of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I guess, that's something. And I would have that assumption too. Like thinking that just, you see people with like, oh, they wear professor clothes and they teach a class. Like, oh, they must have their act together. Or they must have all these things and blah, blah, blah. It's like people come from all kinds of backgrounds.
Yeah.
And like what it seems like now may not always be what it was like. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I've made those assumptions too. But like people are so interesting,
Yeah.
Because like, or for instance, like I meet new faculty and I'm talking to them and just all I know them for like is what they're doing right now. But they've had this whole life. And maybe they've done all kinds of different things. And so then that's how you find out. But like, that's how we meet each other, right? When we're in academia, we go, Jello, you're in my ear training class, right? And you know me for like playing the piano and singing kind of poorly, but like, and, having fun. But like, that's like, ear training it's great that I'm doing it because it is helping me become a better musician. And it is part of like my training when I was doing my doctorate for sure. But that's not me. I'm not a professional. Like, I don't want to spend the rest of my life teaching ear training.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Although I would, because it leaves me room to compose. I would. Like, if I were able to just, express myself artistically in other ways, that would be fine. But it's not like my life goal to continue teaching ear training forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's interesting as I'm kind of in like a transitional period right now. And just talking to these professionals and talking about how I feel kind of behind in some ways and just hearing them talk to me about their peers or themselves and their beginnings in music. It's nearly as cookie cutter as you kind of I felt it was, you know. And it's cool. Yeah, it's just cool to see how different people's upbringings in music are, and I guess kind of educational pathways are.
Oh yeah, very different.
Yeah.
All kind of different things.
And
yeah.
you can succeed not going the typical route that people say is the typical route, you know?
What do you think the typical route is?
I think the typical route is lessons in high school, like youth symphony, whatever.
Yeah.
Then undergrad, then master's. Then if you want to get your doctorate, but like
straight through
from there, like straight through. And and festivals in between.
Summer festivals and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's at least kind of what because I mean, I came into this without knowing anybody in music or anything like that. And so that was kind of what the perception I got coming into all of this was.
I would agree. I feel like also like a lot of my peers, it seems like that's what they had to, like youth symphony lessons. And I feel like also this conversation, I'm kind of feeling a bit inspired, like, oh, like maybe I should talk to other people too. Because I think not having the experience that my other peers did to kind of get to the point that where you are, the point where they are right now, kind of feels like discouraging. But I feel like encouraged right now from what I'm hearing and what we're kind of talking about now.
Yeah.
Good. Yes, there are people who will go straight through. So if you go straight through generally, and let's say you do let's say it's 5 years for undergraduate, right? 5 years for undergraduate, 2 years for master's, that's 7. 3 to 4 years for doctorate, that's 11, right? 11 years of school, you go straight through.
Yeah.
And you would finish your doctorate at 28 or something like that. And then ideally you get your college teaching job, if that's what you want, if that's the route that you're doing. But that is a certain route that certain people can succeed in and do well. But I think a lot of people don't do that, actually. And people that do, it's great. I know, my dear friend and percussion teacher from when I was doing my master's at Georgia State, Stuart Gerber, he went straight through and did all kinds of amazing things. But he's brilliant. One of those people who can literally do he could do anything. Yeah. He could have chosen anything and he would have been great at it. But he was the main percussionist for the composer Karl-Heinz Stockhausen up until when he died. Just amazing stuff. But other people, it's you need to take time off because you need to work and make money. Yeah. Or you're going to do other things. Or for me, for instance, I was never going to get a doctorate. In fact, I was never even going to get a master's degree after I finished my undergraduate because I was kind of burned out. But then I did, And then I was I'm never getting a doctorate because I didn't want to do it in performance. Because a lot of, I lived in Georgia, right? And there's only one school where you could get a doctorate in percussion. And that is UGA, University of Georgia. Mm-hmm. But it's a heavily orchestral-based program. Mm-hmm. And I was I don't want to just prepare to be an orchestral percussionist and get my doctorate in percussion. Yeah. So whatever. But yeah, people do all kinds of circuitous routes.
I think what I've been kind of told about going to a doctoral or master's program is that a lot of the people that are applying or you're competing to get that spot in that program have been having lessons since they were a little and started out and have had this kind of the straight through opportunities. So I think that's why I also kind of feel discouraged when talking about this or thinking about where I could go, for example, with cello, because it's kind of my perception of what's been told to me is that there's a lot of the people that have done more than me at this point, but also who I would be competing with to get into those programs.
Oh, I see. The competition of programs versus the competition of just being a musician out there.
Kind of, yeah. If I were to go be, for example, go for a master's or doctorate in performance, well, a lot of those other people that are auditioning for that position have had a lot more experience than me or have had lessons since they were really little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's interesting. But the good thing is that we have so many schools in this country that you can get a degree in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if you're willing to go somewhere that's a little, not a top 20 school or something, but it's still great. There's so many great music schools. You get yourself an assistantship.
Yeah.
And you'd be teaching, making a little bit of stipend, free tuition. And, there's so many places that will you audition, you're going to get in, you'll get you'll get to a master's program with cello, you'll get an assistantship, no problem. But it's very competitive everywhere. But like if you're trying to go to like an Eastman or a whatever, Juilliard or something like that, like I was silly. I did that when I was applying for my composition degrees. I was like, I'm going to apply to the fancy places because I want to have a fancy degree, right? And like for my doctorate, I applied to 5 places. I only got into one, and that was University of Miami, which was like where I kind of wanted to go anyway. But I thought I needed to apply to like fancy. So I applied to like Peabody and not Eastman. Other places, you know what I mean when I say fancy?
Prestigious, yeah.
Yeah. Or somewhere in, I can't remember, maybe Columbia or something. But I ended up going to a place that like has a wide range of composers.
Yeah.
And it's a great school, but it's not like a top. You don't think of University of Miami as like a top 5. Yeah. But it is freaking awesome school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I've heard they had a good like music education program too for like graduate school.
Oh, they have. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't heard of this school until summer of 2015 when I was doing a composer thing in Charlotte, and I met Lansing McCloskey. Long story short, he teaches there. And I just living, because Florida is kind of its own place. Maybe that's part of it.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of it. And then
Florida?
like when no, I've heard. Sorry. That was unnecessary. I just thought it was, But I hadn't heard of the school. And then when I went there, and I also auditioned, or I guess interviewed there for my master's.
Mm.
And I got in, but I didn't get an assistantship, so I didn't go. It's crazy awesome.
Yeah.
But I just didn't, I hadn't heard of it. But then I'm like, wow, I can't believe I didn't hear of this school.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. So, yeah, they have awesome stuff there.
Good to know.
I really liked this conversation we've been having so far.
Yes.
But kind of talking about like chance. So sometimes things happen by chance. So was there like a moment that, if things had been different, you would have never found toy piano or maybe even been where you are now?
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Like you were talking about like you're really close to saxophone. So
yeah.
Your butterfly effect moment.
Well, it starts with Amy Odell, one of my dearest friends. She's a pianist. We played in a band together, Clipper Jones Ensemble, that I started. So I wrote the music and was the manager and the drummer for the band. And we played for like 5 years. It's a chamber rock band is what I call it.
Ooh.
So flute, saxophone, keys. That was Amy. She also played guitar, drums, percussion, electric guitar, electric bass. And it was awesome. We have like one actual album. But we just played in the Atlanta area. It's really hard to get 7 busy professional musicians to like travel or do anything. But Amy and I knew each other a little bit in masters, and then like we became friends again. And Amy's like one of the most important musical people in my life. But I don't know her story about how she first got a toy piano. I can't remember. But she was commissioning different composers to write toy piano solos for her. And she kind of gave me the idea to write a piece for 2 toy pianos, one in each hand.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was cool. So I did. I had been writing rock band music. By the way, I didn't start composing till I was like 31. So I started writing rock band music for my band, right? But my first concert piece was I wrote in 2013, 2014. It's called Hot Work. It's for tenor, saxophone, and bass clarinet. And the point being that I'd only been basically writing concert music for 2 years. And so she trusted me to write a piece for her, which is really cool. And then Toy Piano Universe exploded from there. We got into the Florida International Toy Piano Festival. Her is like one of the main artists, and she played my piece. And then I did this whole thing where I wrote 1-minute pieces for my friends, and I wrote 55 of those. And then I took a break, and then I wrote 72 more. And they were all just like improvisations, and then I transcribed them by ear. But if it wasn't for Amy, I don't know if I would have come across the toy piano.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I could have not come across Amy. I think so much of music is chance. Like, how do you succeed? Well, it's like, I don't know what percent of what, but it's like determination, hard work, dedication, right? And luck.
Yeah.
Luck's a big part of it. Luck or just something happens. Luck or chance.
Yeah.
Is a huge part of it. And sure, you can toss privilege in there too of various kinds, but like you work hard, you care, and something good happens to you.
Yeah.
Or you meet somebody.
Yeah.
And that can change everything. And I have so many turning points like that with specific people in my life that completely transported my life, So Amy's one of those people with the toy piano.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
For incoming music ed people or people that want to become professors, what are some common misconceptions they might have about starting out as a new professor, starting that new position?
Oh my gosh. That's a good question. I have 2 experiences being an actual professor. I did teach a lot during my graduate degrees, but my experience number 1 was an adjunct professor at a small liberal arts university, Reinhardt University, and I was a percussion teacher. So I taught lessons, percussion ensemble, world music for my last 4 years. And so adjunct is one thing. And the amount of hours I was doing as an adjunct was way over like what a normal adjunct would do, but it's a private school. So like a small private school. And then my other experience is GV, which is like a medium-sized state school, and as a visiting professor. So both of those experiences were very different. But one thing that is common is that I think there's the assumption that you know what you're doing. Like, here's your office. That's basically all you know, like maybe if you ask for some syllabi from the person before, maybe. But a lot of times you're creating your own syllabi. Yeah. Sometimes you're following along. Like how I use Dr. Norris's materials for ear training, which has been really nice because it's a wonderful system. But everything that I've taught before that, I've made the curriculum myself. So that's fairly common. Or you're like tweaking it and adding your own things. So you get into a new job, you have a lot of times, not a lot of time to prep. So you have like tons of curriculum to put together. You're figuring out things. You're trying to meet people, like technology of things like that, you know. And then also, this is the truth, a lot of times, like if you are, let's say, in the case of me, straight out of your doctorate, and you're getting, you know, a teaching job out of that, you have $2, you know. Oh, by the way, move across the country.
Yeah, that's expensive.
I had to borrow $900 from my dad.
Yeah.
And I just like paid him the last $100 check like a while ago because I waited a couple of years to start paying him back because he's nice. But like, and then they reimburse you X amount of money. Like, if I were to change something, it would be like, okay, when you're bringing in new people, give them X amount of money up front to help them with stuff. So a lot of times, here it is, you are moving, generally, unless you're able to find, so you're moving, huge change. Number 2, you have a bunch of new things you got to do, and it's not just walking into the classroom and meeting your students for the first time. It's like a ton of stuff. So it's a life transition. The actual teaching part is like, I wouldn't say the minority of the transition, but like, it's maybe like 49% of it.
Yeah.
For professor stuff. I don't know about teaching, you know, like high school and stuff like that, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
Appreciate that insight. I'm interested in becoming like a professor, hopefully someday. So I really do appreciate that insight. And you're talking about like factors I didn't even consider, like this is a life change. You know, you're moving probably somewhere far, or like somewhere completely new.
And it depends on if it's a big city or a little city. Like where I taught my at Reinhardt, it was like 40 minutes outside of Atlanta. So Atlanta's like big city. That's where I lived. There's a lot going on. But up there in Waleska, it's like the population of Waleska is like 2,000 people, and 1,200 of those people are students at Reinhardt.
Yeah.
And then like professors and stuff like that. So it's like a tiny place. So a lot of the students were rural students and like homeschooled and all kinds of interesting people.
Yeah.
Very polite. Very polite. Yes, ma'am. I had never really heard yes, ma'am very much until I started teaching there. Then I heard it all the time. Even though I had taught in Atlanta, it was a little different.
Had you spent any time in Michigan before coming to Grand Valley to teach?
Not much. Not much.
So like Michigan was like a whole new place, even like just the state, not the side of the state we're on.
Yes.
Wow.
Because Wisconsin, you know, I grew up in Wisconsin. But Wisconsin is like the fat, drunk uncle of Michigan. People are bonko in Wisconsin.
Really?
There's a lot going on in Wisconsin. and I come here in West Michigan and everybody's like
Dutch.
normal and like nice.
Yeah,
And like,
West Michigan niceness is like,
like
it's another level beside Midwest.
like, it's just different. My experience of like it's just different. That's all. But it's been nice and stabilizing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And GV's a great place where it's like, oh.
Okay. Well, we've talked a little bit about adversity, but what habits or I guess just ways going about your life have you had to learn how to adjust in order to thrive in music?
Well, I've had a couple of different big adjustments, and that's like sort of being mainly a percussionist and then being mainly a composer
Yeah.
was sort of an in-between. Like, at my heart, I am a performer. But like, I guess I went from like performer to performer-composer to composer-performer. And now, especially with my tendonitis, which I'm hoping is like more temporary, I'm like composer. So that's a lot of adjustment, just in general. But also like identity change.
Yeah.
Adjusting in that way. Like one big adjustment I had too was going from being an adjunct professor to a graduate student. That was, I wrote a series of 4 articles for New Music Box that you can read if you want. The first one is the good one. The rest of them are like fine. But the first one is called, maybe it's called Playing the Changes or something like that. I would recommend reading it for anybody, because for anybody especially who is like going back to school after like a whole life of professional stuff. And then going back is like, I experienced some very interesting things.
Yeah.
Like good things. So here's one's a little adjust. It's just like but it's like a nice anecdote. So I had been used to like being the teacher, but I got to play in band and I was just in the percussion section. So I just like, I learned to like stop trying to teach people and just sit back and play and let the person play crash cymbals really badly and just have fun and just focus on my part. And it was so cool, but I had to like go, no, this is not my job. My job is not to teach them. My job is to like be a person, you know, who's in this ensemble and things like that. And even though I had been teaching college before, I wasn't hanging out with a lot of people who were in their early 20s.
Yeah.
But when I got to UW Milwaukee, that's where I did my master's. All my friends were people who were 15 to 18 years younger than me, almost all my friends.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. That was like so fun. And my roommates, my first semester, I lived in the graduate dorms. My roommates were these 2 German young ladies who were exchange students. And they were like 19 years old. And they were so cool. And they were from Germany. And like they took me in and we did cool things. And like I picked them both up from the airport. And the first thing they wanted to do was go to Wendy's and get like a big fat American burger, you know? And they're like, oh, you have Aldi. And they like, I was like, it was just so different, you know? And everybody was, I thought people would think I was weird because I was older. Everybody was so nice. It was just great. So that was a big adjustment. And the other big adjustment was really understanding what it's like to have professors not respect you as a professional. Now, there was most people were nice, but it was really hard when like I would meet a professor for a class or whatever. They didn't know that I was 37 and was just finished teaching college, but they wouldn't treat me like an equal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and that was hard. Like I wanted to wear like a t-shirt that said, blah, 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 blah. Read my bio on my website. Like I'm just like you. But on the other hand, also because I had treated my students in the past as people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it seemed strange to me that I was being treated like as less than. Like maybe they thought I was a 25-year-old percussionist when I was a 37-year-old composer who played percussion, right? So that was a big transition too. It was my first time really being like misunderstood and realizing that we don't know people's experiences. You know, I didn't know their experiences and they certainly didn't know mine. So they just oh, here's a person who's playing a percussion. Why would they assume that I was something else?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Especially because I had that baby face, so I look younger. I don't look so young anymore, but I did back then. So that was an adjustment too. It's an identity. It's an identity thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be disheartening to just have people not care about your background, because I feel like that's so much of music, and for me at least, like it's kind of what creates you as a musician is like your journey with it, you know, and to have people not care or ask about that, it's just kind of disheartening.
But I've learned my lesson. I mean, I'm sure maybe y'all have done this or not, but something I've done before is like go, oh, hey, person that I know from this one context, and just assume X, Y, and Z, when this person has had this whole life full of interesting things, and I feel like a jerk because I made sort of like a single lane assumption about them. I was like, oh no, They're like, have had this whole life in X, Y, and Z and doing these things and just making those assumptions even by accident. But music people are creative, right? They're interesting people. We are interesting people. And, I learned about Aveline's history from listening to the first podcast. I didn't know that. Or like sometimes I talk with y'all or like other students and I find out like, oh yeah, they play like 7 different instruments.
Mm-hmm.
Or like they came from this place or they had this kind of background or like they did take lessons from age 6 or they didn't until they were like right before college or whatever. It's just like, that's the thing we got to think about with, we're musicians, we're creative, we lead interesting lives and we have a lot going on.
Yeah.
Transitioning to the next question, may you describe how conversations on mental health, wellness differed from when you were in these different roles as student, as music professional, and as an educator?
Well, when I was in undergrad, it wasn't really a topic. I found out that I had ADD when I was the very end of my senior year. I got tested because my friend did. And I was like, and then I read that book. Oh, I forget. There's a really like famous book that everybody reads. And I was like, it's me. Yeah. So things like that. But then also, it just wasn't a conversation about that. Now there are mental health services at college.
Yeah.
You can get help. You can go and like call a person and then you will get help in like 2 days or something. Unbelievable. I love it. And the conversation about mental health is important to me because I got to be a part of a panel at PASIC, Percussive Arts Society International Convention 2 years ago. That was called Neurodivergent Percussionist or something like that. And there was like, I moderated the panel, but there were 3 people. One person who had autism, another person who had ADD, and then another person who had OCD. And so we talked about like teaching techniques and people were asking questions and just kind of talking about how they felt like their mental illness or their learning stuff affected the way they move through their life and artistically. And it was just absolutely wonderful. And I loved it. And I don't think there had really been a conversation like that before at PASIC. And it was like people loved it. So I like talking about that kind of stuff because, I have mental illness as well. And it's a juggling thing because sometimes I'm fine and sometimes I'm not fine.
Yeah.
But I still got to come to class.
Yeah.
I still got to be a teacher. And there are some resources available, but I need to look more into that. I think there's a lot of teachers who have mental illness stuff and they either end up needing to drop out because the pressure gets too high or find other ways. And there's physical stuff too,
Yeah.
People have physical things, a lot of invisible illness, that sort of stuff. So yeah, the conversation has changed in that people are talking about it is what I meant to say. Now. Yeah.
Well, what I really appreciate about you as a professor is you're one of my few professors I've had that has openly like talked about it and like how to handle stuff like that. And I appreciate that so much, especially like with the neurodivergent stuff too. It's odd to me that's not talked about more because there's so many neurodivergent people in music.
Yeah.
Like so many, and you'd think not because a lot of the stuff is, I don't know, maybe like most things, not typically set up for neurodivergent people to succeed in, I guess, an academic setting. But I don't know, in music, there's just, at least from what I've noticed, there's a lot of neurodivergent people here. And yeah, I guess I just appreciate that you have talked about that in our classes and stuff like that and talked about mental health stuff because, yeah, everyone is dealing with different things and it's helpful to hear professionals talk about it, like talk about what's happening and what's actually there and what's going to be there when we get older and we're in that position,
Yeah. Wow. Well, I need to learn how to talk about it better. Maybe I should join some people and write a book or something.
I'd read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great. I'm glad to hear it. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Do you think welcoming wellness, mental health conversations into the music space will kind of change some aspect of our community, kind of the dynamic we have here? Not necessarily at Grand Valley, but just, amongst musicians.
Yes. I think those conversations would be super helpful. Whether that's in like a structured environment or whether people just decide they want to talk about it. Like for me, one of the most wonderful things mental health wise is when I find somebody who knows how I feel. and who understands, who just gets it. Like, sometimes I feel like a little embarrassed that like I can just like lose track of where I am, or like, dissociate during ear training when we're like doing too many rhythms and I kind of like lose, leave myself and come back, or can't remember words, or like, have low energy and then all of a sudden I'm really excited. Sometimes, or I'm like behind on things. I'll get behind sometimes. I feel that a little embarrassed about that, but that's just one of the things, that talking about it would help with, because we all know that we're supposed to have everything turned in on time, and we're supposed to be healthy and fine, and we're supposed to come to class every single time, and and we're supposed to like be able to pay attention for every single second of everything, and we're supposed to practice for X amount of hours, and all this stuff that we're supposed to do right in this way, like you were talking about, and I think part of why neurodivergent people, musicians there's so many of us who are neurodivergent, is because like for me, when I play, it takes away all that noise, and it makes me happy.
Yeah.
And I especially like to play music with other people. What we want to do is play our instruments to play with other people. What we also have to do is like theory and your training and history, and like so much of that is so wonderful. But it is a lot. It's a lot, So having those conversations is great. And you can just start by talking with people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think even like being like your student as well in this conversation is, I think I feel like a little less embarrassed too, where I maybe have some shortcomings and performing like the rest of my peers or what's expected of me. So I do appreciate that as your student and in this conversation as well. In what ways has your creativity sustained during trying times?
Oh, okay. Back to the toy piano. So when I did that project with the little toy piano pieces that I wrote for friends, and all the titles were like inside jokes, but I've been through some trying times in my life, all kinds of, lots of transitions, lots of no money, lots of, not lots of husbands, but husband and ex-husband, boyfriends and ex-boyfriends, all kind of stuff like that. Ooh, lots of changes, moving, But while I had a lot of transitions during the time that I was writing those toy piano solos. And so what I would do is I'd come home and I'd just plop in front of that toy piano. And I had 1 hour. That was the whole thing. I had to get it done from start to finish in 1 hour. And then it was just like such a special, happy place, And like my cat would come and she was interested in the toy piano and she would come and like look around. And so, it was like a time of solace. And the same thing too, when it was like at the summer. So the pandemic started in March, right? Mm-hmm. So that summer 2020, then I knew I was going back to Miami in the fall, and I was terrified because we didn't know, anything, and it was Florida, right? And so like I was just so anxious and worried, and then I just play some music, So I would do that, and I would just play some Mark Mellett's music, or actually play. And just the act of like playing something and doing something took away so much of that anxiety. And so for me, it is my happy place. It does make me lose those feelings. And sometimes I forget that because I'm composing more than playing it. Like I just need to get on the piano or get on something. And it just takes away that burden for a while.
That's wonderful. When I was younger, or maybe like a couple years ago, but I was told that you shouldn't like professionally pursue something you love because you won't love it anymore. Have you, because like you might lose your love for it. Has that been something you've experienced? I mean, it kind of sounds like not, and I guess I'd just like to hear about that a little more, or your experience with that.
Yeah, sometimes I don't want to compose. On occasion, I don't think I've ever wanted to not play, but sometimes like if it's a sort of a looming deadline, or I'm having a drive time of creativity, or sometimes if I'm feeling really down for an extended period of time, then I think stupid thoughts like, you don't have any more ideas,
Yeah.
and other thoughts that you have when you're not doing well. Just dumb, just not good, not good thoughts, and which feeds into like, but it's not true. I have so many ideas.
Yeah.
But sometimes they just don't show up. So yeah, there have definitely been times where I do not want to compose anymore. And I question like, what am I doing? This is craziness. It's a lot of work. Academia is a cult, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff.
True.
And It's like 3 clinic sheets away from a cult anyway, in a lot of ways. It's hard to leave, you know? So yeah, sometimes I just want to go and like somehow have $1 million and like live on a beach and write music.
Yeah. The dream.
The dream. And then go like play music with people like once a week.
Yeah.
I know you in class you talked about you going to Puerto Rico this past summer.
Yeah.
Did you get to do that? Sit on the beach and compose, or just be around that cool scene and compose?
So I was there with my friend Jeffrey, who's incredibly talented. He plays flute, violin, and cello. And he's really good at recorder, like, you know, the kind of recorder you play in elementary school.
Yeah.
So I bought one, and we were in this amazing forest called Cañon Blanco, way on the top of a mountain. You go down this little thing, and it's this amazing pool, and there's a waterfall far away, and like these giant old rocks and all these creatures and stuff and hills, and it's like amazing. And it started to rain, so we went underneath the canopy of some like bamboo type trees, and we played recorder together for like a half hour.
Wow.
It was awesome.
That sounds so cool.
That sounds so special.
And he's such a good teacher. He taught me how to like do some of the fingerings, but also like some more advanced breathing stuff. And I was like, this is the best thing ever. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I got a lot of bug bites though, but
It's worth it.
yeah, it's worth it, totally.
Is there a project in your career that you've been especially proud of?
Yes, lots of them. So 2 summers ago, I was commissioned to write a film score for a silent film from 1916 called Shoes. I think you might have seen my presentation about that. Was wild. So, but the commission is for percussion quartet. So I had like 2 months basically to write 53 minutes of music for 4 percussionists on this silent film that's like very sad, you know? And it was a wild experience, but I'm very proud of it. And I hope it gets performed more. It's my first and only film score. And it was an incredible experience, an emotional experience. And there's lots of toy piano in it, but also like percussion stuff. So I get to like do all my favorite things, you know? So I'm very proud of that. And I want to work with the Society for New Music to see if we can get it performed more. So that's something I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
What is something you wish everyone knew about the toy piano?
Oh, okay. I wish people knew that there are so many different kinds. There's so many different kinds, and they all have different sounds. I think sometimes people go toy piano, and they're like, ew, you know, which I get it. I don't want to hear toy piano for more than like 20 minutes maybe at a time, maybe, unless there's other things going on with it. But there's all different like manufacturers from like now and from the past. Like most toy pianos that exist in the universe are like older ones. Vintage meaning, you know, 1980 plus or 1970 plus or minus, however that works. But there are ones that have like different materials. So it's like it's a key attached to a hammer or that hits a hammer. So like you have the materials of the hammers and the materials that the hammers strike. So a lot of times that's like steel tines, but sometimes it might be aluminum tubes. Or with some of the old ones, it might be either like metal glockenspiel bars or like glass. And so there's all these different kinds. And they all sound different, and they have different sonorities, and some have a very clean pitch, and other ones is like super wonky. And like the 2 toy pianos I have in my office right now couldn't be more different. One is like tinkly and sweet, and the other one's super clangorous and crazy. It's like you almost can't hear the central pitch on it a little bit, and that they're not expensive. And I literally think every musician should have one. I really do, because it's fun.
Yeah,
they're fun, and it's like a good party trick. You know, you can have people over and you can play stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody, and you know, you have friends over. They're like, "Oh, I want to play some Mozart," and it's they're fun, they're delightful, and it's always something that you can just pick up and play, and anybody can play them. You don't have to be good at anything, and you can still play the toy piano, and you can use it to put plants on, or other things like that, as an art thing. Yeah, it just makes a happier home.
Do those need to be tuned?
Nah, well, you just have to deal with it.
Can they ever be tuned?
Some can. The steel tine, the Schoenhut ones, they have a steel tine that like is attached to a screw thing, and you could like maybe like 1/4 millimeter move it up or down, and that might change the pitch. Or you can actually file the tine. But whatever you do is permanent. Like whatever change you do, it's like marimba bars or xylophone bars. Whatever change you do, it's a perma change. Yeah, like that's it.
Interesting.
If you went too sharp, too bad. You need a new bar.
Yeah.
But generally toy pianos are almost never in tune with each other. And there's going to be some inconsistencies within each instrument. And that's just how they are.
Maybe we need some toy piano tuners. We have some friends in the pack, the Performing Arts Center, for those at home, that tune pianos. Maybe we need to get them on that.
So how do you balance your roles as a performer, composer, and educator? Like, how do you deal with burnout? I mean, that's so much. How do you balance that?
Over time, I've learned, and I'm still learning, to choose the things I really want to do. And it's priorities, making choices more. I used to just back when I was younger, I would just do it all. I did so much and it was awesome. I mean, I ran a contemporary music festival. I was doing all these different things. I'd bring composers in. I do all this kind of, and just wild and tons of things. I did so much when I lived in Atlanta. But when I started grad school, I just, for whatever reasons, I could not keep that pace up anymore. And so I started to do still way too much, but less way too much. For instance, I would love to be playing more, but if I were to play more, it would be too much. My natural ability to stay mentally and emotionally well, I require a decent amount of rest, which is something that I couldn't have, I just didn't understand and couldn't have really done or afforded to do when I was younger. But being at GVSU, it's I get a paycheck every other week. I can choose all my other income that comes in from, commissions and score sales and everything like that. That's extra. So I have a lot more freedom to choose what I want to do and what I need to say no to or postpone to later. So I say no to more things, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Which is I want to do more things, but I have to keep slowing down, back off, do less. Or if I do a new thing, it's a little thing.
Yeah.
I did I recorded vibraphone for one of Dr. Ryan's pieces, last night. And so I had to practice for maybe 2 hours or something. And it was a nice, sweet little thing. It wasn't a whole, 40, 50 hours thing.
Yeah.
So I'll do little extra things.
You talked about earlier how you had this whole career and life doing percussion before becoming a composer. Having some time away from percussion now, do you find it hard to return back when you want to practice a little bit? Does playing marimba seem unfamiliar now that you're not playing as much?
Nope. Not at all. Just go right back. I do have some tendonitis that I've been working on fixing. So 4 mallets is not a good idea. But doing the vibraphone, playing anything, playing snare drum again, it's just nothing ever happened. Yeah. We've been doing it for so long,
Yeah.
You ever notice we watch each other play and it's with your cellos or with your violin, for instance, it's you just pick it up. It's part of your body, right? And how you settle down to sit or stand or how you hold your bow. It's just it's just part of who you are now.
Yeah.
And I assure you that if you stopped for 20 years and then you picked up a cello again, you would know exactly what to do without even thinking about it. And that's same.
I love that. It's so cool.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a part of us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a part of you. It's
yeah.
part of your body. It's an extension. I love
It
it.
is.
Do you have a favorite percussion instrument that you like to play?
I think it's probably still the marimba, but also drum set.
Mm.
I love the drum set. I've been playing drums since I was 14.
What kinds of ensembles have you played drum set in?
Well, for my band, Clipper Jones Ensemble, but then ever since I was 15, I'll play in various groups. Sometimes I would just sub in on drum set. The first rock band show that I played, I was 15, and I subbed in on drums for this all-girl band called Scrub. And it was the second show, and it was totally awesome. We played 3 songs. It was great. And then at church, I played some long-standing drum church gigs, musicals, more rock band stuff, occasional jazz gig. I think I was the only female drummer in town that could play this one. There's an Atlanta all-female jazz ensemble, and their regular slew of drummers, nobody could do it. So I came in last minute, and it was so stressful.
Yeah.
Because I'm a boom smash drummer. I'm not naturally a jazz drummer. I am the person you call if nobody else is around.
Yeah.
I can do ding 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 and a salsa. And that's what it was. It was so stressful, but it was fun. So something like that. Yeah.
So when you're composing, what does your process look like? Do you have any specific habits or rituals, or is it different every time? Like, what does it look like for you?
So far with commissions, it's all been people that I know. I don't think I've had like a total rando commission me for something or asked to commission. So I can imagine the people playing. So that's something that I do is I imagine the people. Or like, for instance, when I was commissioned to write for the new music ensemble here, I didn't know who the players were, but like I imagined people. So like I'm thinking about people like doing the stuff. And then I can write from there because I imagine like I'm practical in that way.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, can a person play this thing? Okay. And if they can't, let me find work around it.
Yep.
Generally, a go-to composition process is to just dink around on the keyboard, come up with something that I like. And then I can build a whole thing around it. I spend about half the time at notation software and half the time on other instruments or paper or whatever.
When you started composing, because I know you started when you were around 30, right?
Mhm.
Was it mostly notation software, or is it still?
No. I didn't. I discovered GarageBand. So GarageBand maybe does regular notation now, but like back then it would only do one time signature and one tempo. So like I had this tune that I was wrote for Clipper Jones Ensemble where there's all this mixed meter. And if I wanted to print out the parts in GarageBand, I had to like handwrite in all the things. So I ended up like handwriting the parts and everything a lot.
Oh, okay.
Until I got in trouble. Once again, Mark Mellitz. I had my first in-person lesson with him, and he's like, "You have to stop using GarageBand. This is ridiculous." And then somebody put a pirated copy of Sibelius on my laptop, and then I started learning to notate. Yeah. So when I was first writing stuff, I was using GarageBand, but it was just like electronic. I wasn't writing for people at all. It was just like fun little electronic stuff just for me. And how I started was that like I had a bout of really bad back stuff. And my husband at the time, he got me like a MIDI keyboard, like a little one. He said, "Why don't you dink around, and make some music?" And so that was the gift. That, talk about a turning point.
Yeah.
That was such a gift. Like, because I was like laying on my back, like keyboard up here. There's an album. It's got 5 songs. And it's just my old like dinky electronic stuff that you can find. I think I have it on SoundCloud. It used to be on Apple Music, but they took it down. It's called Clipper Jones Pack Your Crackers. So if you want to hear my first stuff, you can listen to it for free on SoundCloud. Yeah, it's got 5 songs. And I ended up turning 3 of those songs into like arranging it for the band.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I wasn't thinking about real people for the first like 2 years I was doing that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So you've talked today about like many of your cool, amazing experiences in different music spaces and with new projects. What is something you are striving for next?
Well, practically, I'm looking for a job, right? Because I'm in year 3 of my visiting position, just passing through, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to still teach college, and I'm looking forward to doing more composery, percussion-y, contemporary music stuff. So we'll see what's out there. But that's my goal, just life-wise. But I do have a big orchestra piece coming up that's going to be premiered in next fall. So I'm really excited about that. Let's see. I guess I've just been really focused on like the new job thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just like, hunkering in on that. But there's always wonderful people to work with. And, I have like my dream thing, what I would like to strive for in life, which is that I could just travel around and make music with people.
Yeah.
In whatever way possible. I would love that. I think I would need like an agent, with a lot of money.
Yeah.
But that would be something great. Or maybe in retirement, or maybe I'll get my beach house.
You can play recorder all day underneath the trees.
Yes, recorder, toy piano, whatever else I could take with me.
Just looking around.
Learn to play the
The
cello or the
mountains
violin.
in Puerto Rico. That's my piano. Like, that's what I'm.
You'll get a
That's
go
what I've got in my
bag.
head right now.
You get a go bag with just like everything,
Yep.
but like it's manageable. It's a manageable go bag.
A
'cause,
wheeled suitcase, like a hard
Yes.
case. Yeah.
Yes.
But it's like nothing.
It's so heavy. Like maybe technology that then, you can get like a drone or something. You'll just like, you'll just be walking
That's
around.
a great
just,
idea.
like,
Yeah.
That's
just having the levers, the levers.
It's your carrying heavy stuff assistant. Yeah, I like that.
Or maybe your agent will just be really strong and can help you with
Yes.
that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
moving on to like the next question. Where do you get your outfits and accessories from? For our viewers at home, Dr. Kieffer shows up to class styling. She shows up and she shows out every day, every time. I am jelly of your, that's jealous. I'm jealous.
For the
viewers at home. I'm jealous of like your purple Doc Martens. I want them. She has purple like felt velvet Doc Martens.
Yeah. Purple bandana.
Yes.
Yeah.
And your colorful like outfits. You have like colorful overalls too. Like for the viewers at home, there's a whole ensemble and closet that I need to see and steal. It's serious.
Well, you can come over anytime. I live right here in Hallandale.
Wow.
Let's see. Different places. Thrift store.
Mhm.
Okay. Sometimes eBay. This shirt, which I'm obsessed with and I've been wearing like 4 days a week, which is a problem. This is like from the 90s. And I can't remember. It's not Gerbo and it's not Jordache, but it's another Gitano.
Mm.
And I love like color block,
Yes.
you know? So I'm like, I saw this shirt and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So, and I'm all about cheaper price. So thrift store, sometimes eBay. Those overalls actually I got on Amazon, believe it or not. I don't like to do that, but
Really?
they're just like thin
Sometimes,
linen, like loose, like, oh, so amazing. Oh, and there's this website called Ukes, and they have just like all kinds of like super designery, but like interesting, weird,
Mm-hmm.
that I never heard of, but like I'll type in like socks and they'll have all these crazy socks or like, but I just find the lowest price.
Yeah.
You know, but I'll go in there and like, so I like color block. I like patchwork, kind of like your vest. And I like paisley, kind of like your, you know, thing. I like
We're
black,
on
like
it.
Evelyn. Yeah. I like all these different. So, and I'll, yeah,
We're rising fashionistas.
yeah, exactly. I was typing in. And if it's a woman's,
solid black.
I do.
Hey, concert black.
Concert black. And then it's like black with a dash of color. You know, so you gotta have like your bandana or whatever.
That's the blue.
Yeah.
The blue jeans.
Yeah. And that's where I got the purple suede Doc Martens for like
Ooh.
$55 because they were super on sale. And like I have like kind of big feet. I wear like a 10.5 for
I wear
women's.
11. It's okay.
See? So it's like lucky kind of because like the weird shoes are left over.
Yeah.
The weird stuff are like the big girl
Yeah.
clothes. Like I'm like a 16 or whatever. So like
Mhm.
sometimes the
Same.
16 is like, sometimes it's a hard time to find stuff, but other times it's like nobody wants a 16. But you got to be careful because it's a European size. Like, so
Oh.
European 16 is like a 14 minus.
Yeah.
I have pants that I will never be able to fit into. They're so nice, but I can't wear them.
Mhm.
I'll give them to Bridget or Evelyn.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
fit.
I'll take any of your clothes.
I gave Bridget these pants she's wearing today.
Yeah, those are awesome. Those are
Mhm.
90s chic right there.
90s
Yeah.
chic, baby.
Yeah.
Hey,
Bridget, you and I are rising fashionistas.
Yes.
Someday we're gonna get to Dr. Kieffer level, and that's gonna be grand.
that's my
I
goal.
will be so happy.
Anyway, back to the podcast.
That was really fun.
These green pants are from Cole.com.
Gold Scotch, baby.
Size 16. Size 16. Short, because I have short legs and long arms.
Okay.
I really like talking about that. That's fun.
Okay. What is the most unusual instrument or object that you've composed for?
That I've composed for.
Or played, whichever.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Wow. I played, well, as a percussionist, I played every kind of weird thing you can imagine.
Yeah.
Weirdest, I don't know, but I will tell you about one piece of music that, so in Atlanta, weird music was like, there was all kind of cool stuff going on. But one piece that was like one of the more amazing musical experiences of my life is, I can't remember the composer and I feel bad, but it was for either 60 or 100 people. I can't remember. And we performed it in the basement of this parking garage. So there's room for people to listen. And I was actually hired by the like group that put it together, Bent Frequency. I was hired to create the floor map. So they found like people to do all the stuff. And I created the floor map and like who was where. And so some people were like, and you had different techniques. So some people might be pouring like rice from bowl to
Oh.
bowl. And I was one of the people who played like a break drum,
Whoa.
but there were different techniques. So you had to learn the techniques for these things that aren't really instruments. So like I had to bow the break drum and a few other things. And it was like on a timer. So like all these, so it was just like this soundscape that was totally wild. And there was like maybe a gong or something, but just like sounds, stuff that makes
Yeah.
sounds. But actually, as far as writing music, I think I've written for pretty normal like instruments that you can find. I do have some percussion music that's like it'll just say resonant metal or dry metal, and then you decide. You know, do you have like a nice bowl or pan that you like that rings? Like a bunt pan is always a great, for like a resonant metal. But then like a frying pan is good for like a dry metal. Just kitchen appliances.
Yeah.
I'm so
Typical.
jealous of percussionists because they get to do cool stuff like that. Like you're basically like Foley artists at that point. The type of sounds you know how to get out of certain objects is so fascinating.
And your go bag is like mallets. Like, you know, like I wish we had that much variety in our go bags.
I wish so too.
Yeah.
I've just got rosin and
I actually have in my cello case a practice buddy, a screw that Bridget found on the floor when we were performing together, and a rock from Arizona that a friend of a friend gave to me. That's what's in my cello case. And then I have a tote bag with everything else that's practical.
Y'all, I have a suggestion for all three of you string players.
Yes, please.
yeah.
Yes.
I can't name specific people because I just don't remember everything, but start looking up experimental cello players, experimental violin players, okay? And just go down and see what you can find, look at YouTube, whatever, get on and see some weird, crazy stuff that people do. And like, you got implements, you got all kinds of things. Like, your go bag will expand with noise making and different things like that, and get into some weird stuff because you might hate most of the sounds, but also like, I love to be surprised by a sound.
Yeah.
Even if it's a horrible sound, I still like to be surprised.
Okay, so as we've been talking throughout this entire episode about all the questions that might help incoming students or students that are going through school right now, what's one piece of advice you want students to take away from this episode or in general?
I'm just going to say it in the cheesy way, which is believe in yourself. Like, listen, I've said this before, and this analogy comes from my favorite comedian, Maria Bamford. I'm saying it wrong. I'm not a comedian. But if you take potatoes and you write a potato opera and you write the music and you get people to do the voices and you put on the show of this potato opera, you are a huge success, right? You've done something start to finish. Like, you play your instrument, you write music, you do something else creative. Like, that's something. It's not nothing. Like, playing in an orchestra is not nothing. Like, it's an incredible skill that's taken like a long time. Writing music is not nothing. You know, you could take a little gem of a little melody or something and turn it into something big. It's a success when you make music. And so you have to believe in yourself, because a lot of people aren't lucky to have that sort of like, some people go through most of their lives or all their lives and they don't know what their talent is or what they love or what their gifts are. And it's like, we're also lucky because we found a thing. It's like, oh, I have a thing that I enjoy, like, and I can do something with. So that's it. Just love what you do, and it matters. It makes the world better. You know, don't give up if you feel sad. Fine, feel sad. Still play your instrument.
You know, if that's real.
Yeah.
True.
No, that's great advice. Are there any books or resources you would recommend to students?
Well, I'll tell you what. Speaking of Maria Bamford, my favorite comedian, she has a book that is relatively new. It's called Sure, I'll Join Your Cult. And it's about her family and her experiences in 12-step programs. And it's very funny, but super real about mental health. Like, that's part of her like comedy stuff. She talks about mental health. And it's like so funny, so real. And when I read her book, I feel like here's another person who's like me. She's like, I don't even know how to show up to a meeting like a lady. And I'm like, oh, I tried so hard to be here today, and I did.
Yeah.
We all got here on time. It's a Christmas miracle.
Yes.
But it's so funny. You know, it's like holding a book and reading stuff and laughing and like crying. Like, you know, it's good. I laughed and I cried all the time reading that book. So it's Maria Bamford. Sure, I'll Join Your Cult. That's my book recommendation for the day.
I'll check that out.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
And for anyone interested in learning more about you or staying up to date on what you're doing, where can they go? How can they get in touch with you? All of that.
Well, I have a website that is basically a place where you can find videos and like buy all my scores. So I don't like have an updates on there yet, but it does have all the my writings on there. And, you know, if you want to read my album reviews, I've written a bunch of album reviews actually. But although I'm on a brief social media break, I do have a fun Instagram. So Instagram's a great way. I'll be back on in a couple of months, and then that's a great way to reach me. Or you can just email me, which is lastname@gmail.com. And I'm a good communicator, and I will write back.
What's your Instagram called?
Oh, it's 1980 OK.
And what's your website?
Oh, oliviakieffer.com.
Perfect. Okay. Well, that's pretty much going to wrap up our guest episode for today. I want to thank Bridget and Maria for co-hosting and helping with the interview. And of course, thank you to Dr. Kieffer for joining us and giving such great insight into your musical journey. We really enjoyed having you on the show.
Thank you. This has been a ball.
Yes, it's been a fun time. If you or someone you know would like to be featured on Tutti Talks, feel free to DM us on Instagram at Tutti Talks Podcast or email us at tuttitalkspodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to follow us on all our socials to stay up to date on all things music, from guest highlights and upcoming episodes to behind-the-scenes content and performance clips. We're passionate about reaching as many musicians as we can, and you can help us do that. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a fellow musician, colleague, or friend. Whether it's someone in your ensemble, your studio, or someone who'd appreciate these conversations, every share helps grow our community. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Tutti Talks. Keep the music playing, keep the conversation going, and we will see you in the next one.